We started with the first two pesukim. We said, Shuvah Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha ki kashalta ba'avonecha. So I had a new chidush while I was reading this today. Shuvah Yisrael, referring to the shul over here. Shuvah Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha. It's going to go all the way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki kashalta ba'avonecha, although we sinned. Kechui machem, how are we going to do this? Kechui machem devarim v'shuvah Hashem. We're going to take words with us. The words of chizuk, the words of Blvd Torah that we're hearing the whole day. And that's going to be the way how Shuvah Yisrael is going to go ad Hashem Elokecha. And Baruch Hashem, the Rabbi and all the people that are machzik this program, it should only be bring us ad Hashem Elokecha. So Shulchan Aruch tells us in Shulchan Aruch b'Ashkenazim not the Rama continues the halachot for the Ashkenazim that even if Tisha B'Av would fall out on Motzei Shabbat, then by Mincha we don't say Tzidkatcha. By Mincha we know that by Mincha on Shabbat, if it's going into Yom Tov, we don't say Tzidkatcha. So here Shulchan Aruch tells us that today on Tisha B'Av, the most saddest day for Klal Yisrael is called the Yom Tov. How could that be? How could the two things be put together that on the one hand it's the saddest day and we have so many halachot to be said, so many halachot to help us understand the Avelut, and at the same time call it a Yom Tov? How could we understand the two things? And to elaborate a little on the question, we know there's 4 stages of mourning, of preparation to Tisha B'Av. We first start with Sheva Asar B'Tammuz, the 3 weeks. As we call it, we get a certain level of Avelut. We start making Chatunot for the most part. There's certain halachot that start from then. There's certain minagim that people do already from the 3 weeks. And then another level of Avelut is Shavua, the 9 days, which starts on Rosh Chodesh Av, Mishenechnas Av, Mematim B'Simcha. We start to get a little more serious in our Avelut. And then we have Shavua Shechalbo, the week of Tisha B'Av, which we start even to get more serious. And then we have Tisha B'Av itself, the pinnacle of Avelut. Now why do we have all this preparation? The answer is simple, because we know anything meaningful in life, you need preparation, you need Hakana. Right? You can't just wake up one day on Purim and be happy. You need to prepare. You can't just wake up one day on Yom Kippur and be serious. You need 40 days before preparation. You need preparation for the Avelut also. You can't, if a person just bought his new car, a person just bought a new house, a person just bought a new suit, he's freshly shaved and he took a shower and he's wearing a new suit, and then he walks into the Tisha B'Av and the rabbi says, okay, now we have to be sad. What do you mean be sad? I'm happy. It doesn't work. So you need Hachana, you need preparation. So we start preparing ourselves with different ways of Avelut. And then we get to Tisha B'Av itself. We know today the 5 things. We don't eat, we don't drink, we don't anoint, we don't take showers, right? We have separation between men and women. All these halachot to help us feel the Avelut. Shulchan Aruch even tells us we don't say shalom to our friends. People don't know this halakha. You're not supposed to say shalom to your friend, right? And if someone tells you shalom, if he doesn't know, you're supposed to explain to him that, today's Tisha B'Av, we abstain, or you nod your head or something like that. The poskim say is okay. Or even if you say Leitraot, I saw from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, he says you shouldn't say Leitraot, I'll see you later. He's supposed to tell the person, I'll see you later, b'binyan bet HaMikdash. That's what you're supposed to tell him. Because anything that brings kirva, we know that today's a very serious day, right? Everyone had a seudah of Seudat HaMafseket yesterday, which is called the Seudat Tisha B'Av. We sat on the floor, we ate only one cooked item. We didn't say zimun, we didn't sit around friends, some people had ashes. All these things are simanei avelut, all to prepare us for the pinnacle of Tisha B'Av. And on Tisha B'Av itself, we do the greatest things of avelut, and then comes Chazal and tells us today's a Yom Tov. What is it? How do you put the two things together? So Chazal tell us, the Gemara in Ta'anit tells us that kol ha'metabel al Yerushalayim zocheh v'ro'eh b'simchata. That whoever will be metabel on Yerushalayim, whoever mourns Yerushalayim, will be zocheh v'ro'eh b'simchata. Now, if you look at the words zocheh v'ro'eh are in past tense. They're not in future tense. It says whoever is metabel on Yerushalayim, whoever mourns Yerushalayim, sees, right, merits and sees the binyan bet HaMikdash. So the question is, what does that mean? It should say Yizkeh v'nireh, will see, or will merit. We're not seeing right now the binyan bet HaMikdash. We're not right now seeing all the things that come with the binyan bet HaMikdash, and many generations they were all mitabel v'shalayim and they didn't see the binyan bet HaMikdash. They didn't merit to see the binyan bet HaMikdash. So how could it be? How could we say the words zocheh v'ro'eh b'simchata? Anyone who mourns Yerushalayim merits and sees the binyan Bet HaMikdash. So the Mefarshim say, Khatam Sofer says, that the meaning is the following. And we'll be back Dama. The Gemara tells us in Berachot and other places that met lo nishtakach min alev ad yud bet chodesh. If the person, let's say a person has Rahman al a family member that passes away, so we know there's different levels of avelut. There's first the Shuvah, then there's 30 days, then the year. However, once the year is done, we tell the person, okay, move on. Hashem makes it in our makeup of our body and our brain that we forget. Now, of course, we'll still remember, but to the most part, we forget to be able to move on. If we wouldn't forget and we would have the same exact feelings as when the person would pass away forever, we wouldn't be able to continue, right? So the Chazal tell us that after a year, Hashem makes us forget, then we continue on. That's by a met, but someone that's dead, right? However, we know Yaakov Avinu, right? He mourned 22 years for Yosef. How could that be? He thought Yosef was dead, right? They thought the Shvatim came and they showed him the tunic and they said, look, there's the blood of Yosef. This is what it looked like. And he was metabel, but after a year he didn't stop being metabel. But what do we see from there? That the fact that his avelut didn't go away, he still had the feelings of mourning, was the biggest proof that he didn't die. Because only by a met, only when something's dead, someone's dead, he's dead, he's finished, he's finished. Then after a year, it's nishtakach min alev, it gets forgotten. But the biggest proof that something is still alive is the fact that you could still be mourning. We know the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, right? No one mourns them anymore. They're all finished. There's nothing left of the Roman Empire. It was a big empire. They controlled the world. The Persian Empire, we know from the story of Purim, they controlled the world, right? 127 Medinot, what's left with them? Nothing. You think there's a group of people that mourn them? No one mourns them. Why? Because it's finished. It's dead. There's nothing left of it. Nothing. There were cities in Italy that had volcanoes. The whole city was covered. Nothing left of the city. Nothing. No shemets, no, nothing. No one mourns them. Why? Because that's how Hashem made the world. Something that's met is nishtakach min alev. Yes, it takes time, maybe a year, but after a year, it's nishtakach min alev. But the biggest proof that the Bet HaMikdash is still alive, Yerushalayim is still alive, is that 1,958 years later, Hafla v'fele, without social media, without all newspapers that we had from those times, without all this, we're still mourning. Our fathers and their fathers and our mothers and their mothers and our fathers' fathers, they all passed over to the generation to generation this morning. And the fact that we're mourning and we're sitting on the floor, that is the proof that the Bet HaMikdash is alive. So every act of mourning, already from the 3 weeks, every act of mourning is an act of mourning that together with it is an act of showing that there's a Bet HaMikdash. Hafla v'fela. I gave a talk in Irvine last night. I was there a few times. There's a big shul. They sometimes get a minyan, 10, 15 people. I went there last night. The parking lot was packed. There was maybe 100 cars there. Yeah, people, they're not even so associated with Yiddishkeit, unfortunately. They come Yom Kippur, they come to Shabbat. Why are you coming to Shabbat? It's morning, you're fasting, this and that, because the fact that they're coming, they're showing that there's still a Bet HaMikdash. We're just waiting for it. Like a long-lost friend, a long-lost family member. The person is still alive. You're just waiting for them to come back. Of course you're sad. You used to see the person every day. You're sad, right? You're sad. You're mourning him. You don't see him, but he's coming back. He's alive. He's going to come back soon. Yeah? There's a halakha that if you see a friend after a year, you say, Baruch Machaya Metim. If you don't see a friend after 30 days, you say Shechianu. Today, we don't hold like that today. You know why? The poskim tell us, because it used to be, if you didn't see your friend for 30 days, you start to get worried about the guy. Like, well, what happened to him? Maybe he's dead. Maybe, okay, after 30 days, certain happiness, so you say Shechianu. You don't see a friend after a year? Maybe something happened to him. Then you see him, you say Baruch Machaya Metim. But today, we know from the times of the Chavetz Chaim, he already tells us there were letters. People would know if someone's alive. Today, you know who's alive. And well, you didn't see the guy 20 years, he's alive. So it's not a chidush to you, right? But if you didn't see someone for a long time, you're not sure what happened to him. But if you don't see the guy, but he sends you correspondences, he sends you letters, he sends you information, he talks to you on the phone, then you miss him, he's far away, but he's there. One day you'll see him, hopefully. So that is the avodat hayom today. We have an avodat to be ba'avelut. And Rabotai, that is the avodat hayom. That is the chovat hayom. If someone asks you today, what's the purpose of your day? What should you be focusing on? It should be on the Avelut, on the Churban Bet HaMikdash. That is the main thing. The Mishnah Berurah says many times regarding halachot, going to work, not working, these type of things. The main thing he says is, kedai, that you shouldn't be Mesiach Da'at from the Avelut. It's worthwhile, and the Mishnah Berurah says at the end of Taf Kuf Nun Dalet, I think, when he discusses all the halachot of what we do, what we don't do, he says that it's kedai that one day a year we keep our focus on Churban Bet HaMikdash. Yes, there's certain things permitted, asur. Can I go shopping? Shouldn't I go shopping? Shulchan Aruch says a person should not be mitayel b'shuk. You know, or in America, there's a saying called, we try to kill time. I don't think even in Ivrit there's such a lashon, to kill time. People kill time, they just need to kill time to get the time passed. Yeah, that's not the avodah. We have one day a year to try to focus on the Churban Bet HaMikdash. And while we're focusing on the Churban Bet HaMikdash, deep down we know a certain simcha. There's a Yom Tov. You know why? Because of today, I could still be on the floor. And I could still be sitting down and still feeling uncomfortable, hungry, thirsty, these type of things. And every time you want to take a drink, you say, no, today's Shabbat. You wake up this morning. Every time you wash your hands, you do it till your knuckles. There's a halachot, do, don't do. These things are to help us understand that today is a day of Avelut. We don't have our leather shoes. Today is a day of Avelut. But every act of Avelut connected to it is a simcha. That there's a Yom Tov. Why? Because if we're still mourning about it, that means it's not met. Because en met nishtagach min alev ad achad bet chodesh. However, if it's still alive, that is the biggest siman that it's not dead. And that's why till today we're still waiting for the Binyan Bet HaMikdash. But it's not just waiting to see the Bet HaMikdash. It's already ki'ilu nivneh biyamav, because we already see it happening. You know, I read a story. I heard a story actually from Rabbi Przensky. He's a big storyteller. He writes many books, and he said the following story. He said that before Pesach, he was in a parking lot in Lakewood, in one of the shopping centers. You can imagine Erev Pesach, it's bustling and this and that. And a guy comes out and he sees a note on his car. I'm sorry, I banged into your car, I dented your car, please call me, I'll pay for it. Okay. The guy who gave the dent, let's call him Reuven, he gets a phone call from some guy, he doesn't know, he sees a phone number. And the person asks him, how are you making Pesach this year? How are you paying for all the bills? He says, who are you? I don't know you. He says, today I came out of the parking lot and I saw I dented your car. He's like, no, I meant to pay you. I don't mean that you should have to pay me. I meant to pay you because I damaged you. I want to pay. I'm sorry. He's like, you didn't realize, but when you wrote on the paper that you dented my car and you put a number, you took out the wrong paper or something. I don't know. You put your bank statement. And on your bank statement, I looked at it, and it said your account is overdrawn. He says, how are you making Pesach? He says, I talk, it's hard for me. He's like, I had your bank information. I wired you just now $5,000. And I read the story, and I was blown away. I said, it's one thing, you come out of the parking lot, all of a sudden the guy dents, you're angry. Okay, the guy left a note, but it's still, the guy's causing you problems, you have to fix it, this and that, you get agmat nefesh, right? You have to, and then you take the money, rightfully yours, yes, he banged into you, you take the money, yes, of course. And then there's another level, you mochel the guy, okay, it probably wasn't on purpose, he wasn't probably zooming and he did something dangerous. It's a filled parking lot, one guy was probably going this way, one guy, hey, baby, a little bang, okay. Especially if the guy says, you'll be mochel him, but you'll still be like a little like bothered, like, okay. And then you have a person that will say, hey, you're right, this guy did something wrong to me, but this guy is having a hard time now. So I'm not just going to forgive him for what he did and charge him whatever amount of money. I'm even going to send him money because I realize he has a problem. You see what a Yehudi is? What a Yehudi could do? Now, like I mentioned, I was blown away because I would say, okay, people hit my car, I forgave them. A lot of times they hit, okay, I forgave them, man. I'm not going to now start finding out about the guy to go help him. But if that's what a Yehudi can do, then that's in our genes for everyone to do. Now, everyone on his own level. But it's something that when we hear such stories of actual stories of what Yehudim did, in our time, not the 1,000 years ago, in our time, it shows us two things. It shows us that it's in us to do such a thing. Yeah, it shows us that in us is such a thing, and it also shows us, yeah, that what Yehudim are. What Yehudim are. Yeah, this is what a lev of a Yehudi is. And when we try to work on ourselves, then yes, we have our problems of sinat chinam, this and that. But you can imagine how this person felt when he was giving the money. He said, you know what? This guy is going to really be helped now. How happy am I going to be? And this person who's getting the funds, how happy he's going to be. And it's a simcha. It's not just, okay, get out of my life, don't bother me, I'll forgive you. It's something that it can bring a true simcha. Yeah? There was another story that I heard actually personally from the person on a recording. This Yehudi, he moved from Montreal to Lakewood. He lived there for 28 years. His name was, I forgot his name at the moment. And he moved to Lakewood. Why? Because he was in a certain business partnership with another person in Montreal. And they left off, unfortunately, on very bad terms. And he told the person, it was so bad, he told the person, yeah, I'm not going to be mochel you forever. Ba'olam hazeh, ba'olam haba, I'm never going to forgive you. Never. That's what he told them. It was so bad. Okay? This person, he went to a certain place to learn at night in Lakewood. And he's speaking to an older chavruta. He's telling him how he has these hard feelings, how he doesn't want to be mochel the person. And then the chavruta, older Yehudi, says the exact opposite. Fakert, they say in Yiddish, the opposite. You should be mochel him. Because as much as it's difficult to be mochel the guy, forgive him. He said, why? He's like, I want to tell you. The Zohar says, that Ramchal brings it down, brings down the following story. That one time there was this Yehudi that, what was the story? He went to rest under a tree, and all of a sudden a big snake came down the tree, was about to kill him, and then a stone fell, killed the snake, and he was saved. And Rabbi Shimon Yochai saw this. And Rabbi Shimon Yochai went over to him, Rabbi Shimon went over to him, he said, you know what just happened? A miracle just happened to you. The snake was this close from you, and all of a sudden, a rock fell on it, it died, and you were saved. What zechut do you have? He's thinking, he says, I made a neder, I made a promise, that I will not go to sleep at night until I mochel every single guy that bothered me. Now, of course, many of us, we say, hamapil, right? But to make a neder that I will not go to sleep until I get the sinah out of my lev, he said, Rabbi Shimon Yochai said, if so, that is the zechut that saved your life. So the older chavruta told this person, he says, you don't know, when Hashem puts you in situations in your life, how close you are, let's say, chas v'shalom, to mitah. But then Hashem could put you in a situation where you have the ability, you have the ability right now to change the whole thing. And according to its difficulty, that could bring you the zechut. He said, right now I see that your anger towards that person is so great. You said to that person, you won't be mochelim, ba'olam hazeh, ba'olam haba, ever. You know how difficult right now it will be for you to be mochel that person? Unfathomable. But at the same time, could be. There's something right now, chas v'shalom, there's a ketrug against you, and that ketrug can be pushed away. Because of that merit. Because of that great merit right now. And the person said, I was mochel him. It was hard, I was mochel him. And he said, right after that, I think it was 1 or 2 days after already, he started seeing berachot and yeshuot. He came from Montreal, like I mentioned, to come to Lakewood. There's yeshiva. It's very hard to get into certain yeshivot there. He had a bunch of kids. He was starting his new business. All of a sudden, he started to see all the berachot coming in. His kids got into the good yeshivot. The business started to work out. And he said, at the end of the day, he realized that the amount he lost, he gained so much more at the end. Why? Because he took that moment of pure kas. He took that moment of pure anger at that person. And he said, you know what? I'm going to be mochel. But we have to take these in mind when we have anger at the other people. That at the end of the day, yes, not that easy to be mochel. And there's certain halachot how to be mochel. You have to know if the person is going to do it again and again. Yeah? Then you have to explain to the guy, I'm sorry, I can't be mochel you. There's halachot how to be mochel. If you ever wronged someone, you don't just go over to the guy, mochel me, and that's it. There's a way how to do it. You're supposed to bring presents. You're supposed to come in with people. You're supposed to make it serious. You say, mochel. You know, Shulchan Aruch says, you ask the guy 3 times and that's it. I'm patur from you. No. There's a way how to do it. Of course, there's a way how to do it. You come over to the guy, you explain to him what you did wrong. You go over to the guy, you say, I'm gonna try not to do it again, or you try to compensate the person, you try to give the guy matana. But at the end of the day, we all have to know that when we mochel someone, in Shamayim, it's very big. Because according to the difficulty, that's how much the reward is. And sometimes it happens to all of us. Sometimes a guy in one day, he does something wrong to us and we're super angry at him. I don't know if we have to make a neder or we should make a neder that we'll go to sleep, because then maybe we won't fall asleep at all. Right? But, I don't know if you should make a neder that you won't go to sleep at night till you mochel the guy. But we should know that when a person does something, right? There's 2 ways to look at it. You could say, okay, that's it, I won't be mochel the guy for the rest of my life. Or you could say, you know what, it was a test from Hashem. I'm going to try to be mochel him, and because of that, Hashem Bezat Hashem is going to give me the beracha v'yeshua. I want to end off with one thing. I think I mentioned it one year to Tisha B'Av here, but it's kedai to mention. We know the pasuk says that when Yaakov came to Yitzchak to get the berachot, he was wearing the begadim of Esav. And when Yitzchak smelled the begadim, right, it smelled like Gan Eden, and he was bothered. Like, well, this is Esav. Why does he smell like Gan Eden? Right. So what does the pasuk say? Let's find it. All right, he was at Isha Sadeh. Let's see the pasuk. He says, "Vayarech et begadav." Let's see. Oh, Vayarech et begadav, and he smelled his clothing. Yitzchak smelled it, and it smelled like Gan Eden, and it wasn't typical of Esav to smell like Gan Eden. However, the Midrash explains, what does it mean? Vayarech et begadav. He doesn't read the word begadav. He says et bogadav. As he smelled those that rebel. He smelled those that rebel, and they had a smell of Gan Eden. And what does that mean? Continues the Midrash, that when the Romans came to the Bet HaMikdash to come in, even the Romans, as bad as they were scared to enter. They were scared to enter, so they said, you know what? We're going to get a Yehudi to enter. So they said, we want a Yehudi to enter, right? Of course, no Yehudi would listen, but they said, whatever the Yehudi takes out, the first item, we'll let him keep. Because they wanted to see if someone could go in and he comes out. They wanted to test the waters, see if you're able to walk in the Bet HaMikdash. So there was this Rasha Merusha at the time, his name was Yosef Meshisa. And he said, I'm going to go in. And he walked into the Bet HaMikdash with the azut, with the chutzpah, and he came out with the menorah. And then the Romans saw the menorah. They said, this you can't keep. We thought you'd take something small. You can't keep the menorah. They went back on their word. They said, you know what? Go back again, and the next thing you take, we'll keep. He says, no, I'm not going back in. You're not going back in. You already proved yourself that you walked in and you came out. Now go back in. He says, I'm not going back in. He said, they told him, if you don't go back in, we're gonna take iron combs and comb your skin to death. And he said, I ka'asti et bori pam achat. I'm gonna get him angry another time. And he didn't go in. And while they were killing him, he died. While they were killing him, he said, Oy li, that I made my Hashem angry. And the Ponavizhirov asked, he said, how could it be? 5 seconds ago, the guy was the biggest Rasha Merusha, right? And he was able to go in. And I'm sure even at the time he was a little scared. But you know what? He came out. With the menorah, nothing happened. So now it should be, logically, it should be easier to go back in a second time, right? And all of a sudden he stopped. He didn't go back in. How could that be? Said the Ponavizhirov, you see from here that 1 second in the Bet HaMikdash, even though the Kedusha left, the Shekhinah left. We know when they destroyed the Bet HaMikdash, already Hashem took the Shekhinah out. However, the Kedusha of the Bet HaMikdash, just by being there for a short while, was able to change a person who was a Rasha Merusha to a person who was ready to be Moser Nefesh Al Kiddush Hashem like Rabbi Akiva and the Asara Arogei Malchut. Amazing. When we have to see what we're missing today, we have to know with all our tzarot, with all our, sometimes we feel disconnected from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the worst, unfortunately, when we feel that disconnection. We have to know if we had the Bet HaMikdash to walk into, just by walking to the Bet HaMikdash, we would come out changed people. It's not you go into the spa for one day, you feel like a melech, you walk out, you save nobody. You walked into the Bet HaMikdash, you came out, you felt the Shekhinah, you felt Kedusha. That's what we're missing. But there's one more thing I want to conclude with that we see from this story. And we can understand the Midrash, Bezat Hashem, with the suggestion. Vayerach et begadav. Sometimes we do a sin. And at that point when we sin, we're at a crossroad. Because sometimes when we sin, we feel, I'm a nobody. So I sinned once, I'll sin again. That's it. And nobody, Hashem doesn't like me. I'm already finished. I'm down. That's it. I'm done. But at the same time, he's at a crossroad and he said, you know what? I fell so low, but I could still go out. And Rabotai, nobody's worse than Yosef Meshisa. Yosef Meshisa was the worst of the worst. He had the azu to walk into the Beit HaMikdash and take out the menorah. And even such a person, he said, I got HaKadosh Baruch Hu angry once, I'm not going to get him angry twice. I will not. And to the point that what? That he was able to die al Kiddush Hashem. And Rabotai, we should have this in mind. Unfortunately, we fall here and there. And sometimes it doesn't have to be big averot. Sometimes, a guy, he missed shachrit. Okay, he starts to feel bad. He says, I don't want to feel bad. Okay, I won't come to shachrit. Okay, something, whatever happened, I got angry at someone. I screamed at him. Okay, I'm already not good between me and him. Okay, I'm finished. Or you could say, Ka'asti et bori pam achat. I got HaKadosh Baruch Hu angry once. I'm going to get angry again. Chas v'shalom. For nothing, I'm not going to do this again. And you make up your mind. And all of a sudden, there could be a time of Gan Eden on you. You're still called a boged. You're still called a rebel. We say, Hashamanu bagadnu. It's the second thing we say. You're a rebel. It's the worst. But you could be a rebel. But at that time that you choose and you say, I got Hashem angry once. I won't get Hashem angry. And say it with your mouth. People maybe don't have to hear you. Go into a little room. Talk on the phone. Put your Bluetooth in. And say, I got angry once. I'm not going to get angry again. Yeah, and have in mind HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That Bezat Hashem, we shall learn from this. And Bezat Hashem, we should all be zocheh v'ro'eh b'simchata.